I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. Pleasantview, a novel in stories, is an unflinching look at a multi-ethnic society that is vibrant and joyous, but riddled with corruption. Its author, Celeste Mohammed, seems to have an evolving interaction with words and language, and the attorney since 2001 is now an awarded author. She joins us to share an in-depth look at her craft. Welcome, Celeste. How are you?
Hi, Dike. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in.
The pleasure is ours, but I want you to take us along that timeline, though. Is it attorney to author? Is that how it happened? Take me through that process.
Well, actually, it's the other way around, I would say. I've always wanted to be a writer from a little girl. But I got sidetracked along the way, went into law thinking that, it would be another more lucrative form of playing with words.
And I know sometimes parents, guardians, they want the best for us. So they say, well, you can't have a life doing this. And I heard sometimes that the creative person is the one who has kept their inner child alive. But how did that sidetrack take place for you?
Well, like I said, I knew I wanted to work with words for the rest of my life. But at the time that I grew up in Trinidad, doctor, lawyer, engineer, you make your parents proud. So I endeavored to do that at first. And somewhere along the way, I realized, you know what? This isn't living up to what I thought it would be. It's not exactly the same type of creative enterprise as writing a book or a novel or whatever. So yeah, after 10 years of practicing law, I had to stick a pin and ask myself what I was going to do next. And that was go to Boston and get an MFA in creative writing. And then here we are.
And the fact that you spoke about still being able to use words, to use language. Yes. Do you find that the rigor, the training that you would have as an attorney, does that lend itself, does that help anyway in your work as an author?
That's actually a really good question. No one has ever asked me that before. And the truth is, it actually restricted at first my ability to really be a good creative writer, because you are taught a certain type of writing in law, and you're taught to embrace big words and old sentence structure and, old English and, using a lot of words to say nothing. But creative writing is actually the opposite of that, using less words to say more.
Can I tell you, that really resonates with me, because up to now, I mean, there's one person I spoke to, they call themselves a recovering academic. And right. I also tell some people that I think writing for academia really stunted my creative writing, yes. even the way that I read, because yes. before I would read something from cover to cover because I wanted to read it, versus wanting to prove or disprove or to cite or to reference. So I really appreciate what it is you're saying. And looking at being able to use language, to have it flexible, to have it a little plastic, what kind of challenge is there for you to develop voices and switch voices, like from the narrator to yes. a character protagonist in the story?
Well, that's one of the things I would say that that formal teaching in creative writing helps you to develop the ability. It's a skill like anything else, to be able to switch voices and to move seamlessly between narrator and character and so. And in some ways, writing has a lot in common with acting, in that you yourself have to be liquid, fluid, being able to enter the psyche of another person to properly represent that character. And I feel law was helpful there, being, having exposed me to so many different types of people.
And with that, the different types of people, say Pleasantview is a novel in stories. I haven't yes. asked about the book as yet. So in these final 2 minutes before we go to the break, give me a little overview now.
Okay, sure. So it's a book of 9 short stories. Each is a discrete story, which you could read by itself and come away feeling satisfied. But if you read them all together in the order in which I've presented them, you get a different experience. You get the experience of having read a novel. And so it's kind of like 2 bites of the cherry.
It makes me wonder sometimes when you see these kind of things take place, where you get your inspiration from. Is it that you're sitting looking at people, or you're conjecturing and saying, this could happen? Or is it that you have privy to a corner house and you're getting some pieces of information and you embellish on that? What was the kind of inspiration that led you to this this work?
Well, it wasn't hard. Trinidad is a very interesting place. I know many interesting people in my own family. And really, it was drawn a lot from reality, from the issues that I have faced myself and other people I know have faced. So it wasn't hard to find material.
It's not a matter of people gonna be like, Celeste, you're writing about me?
That has happened. That has happened.
And you spoke about delving into the psyche of others. That is something that I want to examine. I want us to speak about when we return. We are speaking with Celeste Mohammed, the author of Pleasantview, a novel in stories. Stay with us. We return with more.
I go jam them today. Santi Manite.
Yeah.
Winston plucked the guitar. He had no choice, with the crowd clapping and chanting the extempo lavwe. Miss Ivy could see, though, Winston's flat smile peeling at the edges, like print on a cheap jersey. He hadn't expected an extempo bat. He hadn't expected anyone, especially a nobody non-Calypsonian, to challenge his lyrical mastery.
Yes, Lord. Let Winston punish. Let this young old force player put him to shame with lyrics to make people think and weep out the liver string tonight.
What you said just now, that is not true. So the facts I came to reveal to you. Old man minding young girl and he showing off. But in the bedroom, he was really soft. She pick up with me, who young, fit and quick, and she fall in love with my sugar stick. I didn't want she with no other one. So I tell she get rid of the old man. Santi Manite.
Welcome back. We are speaking with Celeste Mohammed, author, attorney. We're speaking about Pleasantview, a novel in stories, and we just got a piece, Santi Manite, and I wanted to ask Celeste about delving into the psyche of others. You said law may have helped for that. I want to ask about delving into the psyche of yourself in terms of like going in, asking yourself these questions, sometimes having these kind of hard conversations. What is that like to be able to go into yourself, to be able to take what you find there and articulate it onto the pages?
Another great question, Dike, because the type of fiction that I write, which is classified as literary fiction, the whole point is to examine the human condition. And what better place to start than with oneself, right? And so, yes, I've had to get very comfortable with spending a lot of time alone, thinking, examining myself, really having come to Jesus moments with myself, as I would say. And also, I see myself as representative of many different types of Trinidadians, being mixed race, being lawyer, being mother, all those things. And so sometimes when I sit with myself, I'm sitting with myself as myself, but also in my role, And I heard it once said that trauma over time in a person can look like personality. And in a people, it can look like culture. And that is, for me, the key to my writing, sitting with myself to discover what in myself and what in my culture I am simply carrying along as inherited trauma and airing that out in my work.
I'm not saying anything because I'm letting it breathe a little bit, because I think I'm going to go back to that statement and look at it, reflecting on my own life from time to time. And so thank you for that. But one of the things I also see apparent with you, Celeste, is the fact that it seems as though you like to build communities. I see you have different platforms that you have conversations with others on, and something that is coming up is the virtual awards ceremony during the 2022 NGC Bocas Lit Fest. Let me know a little more about that. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what I know, which is that Pleasantview, as you may have heard, has won the fiction category of this year's OCM Bocas Prize. There's a non-fiction winner and there is a poetry winner. And the three of us are now going forward and vying for the overall Bocas Prize. And the announcement of that overall winner will take place next Saturday, the 30th, I believe. And yeah, so it's kind of like the centerpiece of this year's Bocas Lit Fest. So yeah, we're inviting people and encouraging people to please tune in. I don't know if I'll have the stomach to watch it. Might be too nervous, but I will be participating in terms of I've recorded a reading from Pleasantview, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
I totally believe that, but let us go back to that issue of community. Why is it so important, apparently, for you to do these things and to kind of build these platforms and have these communities?
Community is so important. I feel like as a writer, we can get very insular and very alone and very much in our little caves. And so it's important for me to push against that and to sort of almost overdo it and go outside of myself and make links with my local body of creatives here in Trinidad, and also the body of people, the network of people that I met while doing my MFA in the US, and just to sustain those relationships, because that's really what I want to do. I want the work to go as far as it can and reach as many people as it can, and to prove and to show that people are pretty much the same inside, wherever you go.
But sometimes the experiences of people can be very different. And with that, I go to a quote in one of Chekhov's stories. A character says that every happy man should have someone who taps at his door with a little hammer, reminding him that there are unhappy people in the world. And reading Celeste Mohammed's novel in stories make me think of that magical little tap, except that the door opens not to a vision of unhappiness, but to a world crammed with life that you never knew existed. And this is from Claire Adam, winner of the Desmond Elliott Prize 2019. How does that make you feel, Celeste?
Well, when I read that, I really cried when I read what Claire had written, because it's absolutely correct. It's totally on point, and Chekhov is one of my favorite writers. And she's right. And that's the point of Pleasantview, in that there's one perspective, a very one-dimensional perspective, which is usually put forward of the Caribbean and of Trinidad. And Pleasantview is an attempt to say, no, there are other perspectives, there are other dimensions. Some of them might not be as la la la, sun, sea, sand, might not be as pretty as you think, but they are worth exploring, because there's meaning there.
And I really like the fact that even more than saying, okay, well, it's not this, but at the same time, it's not that. There's more than black and white, and there's so many shades, there's so many possibilities and experiences. And it seems that though this is something that is highlighted in Pleasantview. But speaking of the fact that, well, we saw Santi Manite, what are some of the other things, or who are some of those stories that are captured in those nine discrete items?
Yes. Well, I can tell everyone for sure there's someone in there who I think everyone will be drawn to, and that is the character of Miss Ivy, who is the Tanti. Everybody has a Tanti, right? And if you're me, you have several. But Miss Ivy is the Tanti of the book. She is the matriarch, if you will, of the town. And it's hard not to be drawn to her. So if for anyone who hasn't read the book, I would say Miss Ivy is enough of a reason to do that. And then go ahead.
Sorry, and you said for anyone who hasn't read the book, take us through how the book is accessed. How do you engage with the book?
Sure. Well, locally, it's available at Paper-Based Bookshop in the Normandy. It's also available at Scribbles and Quills and Chaguanas. I'm not sure where else locally. Also, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the normal places abroad. It's available in the UK as well. There's a UK edition. So, wherever you would normally get books, you can ask about Pleasantview.
And it's one thing to say, okay, well, these are some of those characters. So like Miss Ivy, the Tanti, yes, she have to reach in it. But yes, saying, okay, well, making the decision to say, okay, well, this is the type of book, or this is the book that I'm going to write. What goes into that? Because we have different experiences, there are different things that happen, but not everything you may want to choose to say, okay, well, this is going in. How do you go through that process of filtering?
Yes. Usually it starts with simply having an idea, or having something bother me, something I might see in my environment, on the news or whatever, having some issue bother me, and thinking about it long enough till characters begin to form in my mind. And really keeping my eye on that prize. What is it that I want to see? What is the question I want to ask? What is it I want the reader to think about? And nothing goes into the story, or nothing stays that doesn't serve that purpose. If it doesn't directly serve that purpose, I will cut it out eventually. So, part of the skill of writing is knowing what to save and what to throw away. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it is hard. And you have to kill your darlings.
And in the last minute we have, I think that is a beautiful point in terms of killing your darlings. What do you, Celeste Mohammed, say to the person who is at a crossroads right now and kind of about to get sidetracked?
You mean in writing? An aspiring writer?
Not even in writing, but making that decision. So as opposed to being an author, you went to become an attorney before coming back to where you wanted to go to. What do you tell that person who's going through their own journey?
Yeah. I feel like for everyone, the deepest questions that we ask ourselves, I feel like the answer is already there inside of you waiting. Sometimes you have to get quiet enough to hear it, and brave enough to accept the answer and follow it, because it's not always easy. Yes, give up your job as a lawyer and become a writer. No, but listen within.
The quiet to listen and the bravery to follow that still small voice. We want to thank you very much, Celeste Mohammed.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to actually seeing what happens from the Bocas Lit Fest, the OCM Lit Fest. So best of luck to you for that as well. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you for joining us.